What's up, everyone? My name is Alex, and welcome to my little corner of the internet. I want to give an update on the gender workbook that I've been putting together. I had a video a while back where I talked about writing a book, which is strange to think about because, I honestly, I struggle with having confidence in finishing any sort of project, so it's weird to think that I'm working on a long-term project that is taking so long to put together, and usually at this point I end up giving up and working on something else that doesn't take as long because there's no final product yet. Like, that's not even within my reach. So it's weird that I even have an update. But I have, the gender workbook. I talked about how I wanted an interactive book where readers could fill in the blanks, or like write in like gendered experiences, and there's like writing prompts, and there's areas where you could like journal, there's like spaces where you can track your gender and all that, which might be new. I might not have mentioned that part, but I'll get to that in a sec. I decided that the workbook should probably be more for people who consider their identity to be made up of different parts. It kind of inspired the series Pieces of Me, where I talk about my bigender identity in parts. I talk about different parts of that identity and all the different pieces that come together to make it. So I kind of shifted the tone of the workbook because I was trying to be it's inclusive, but I was trying to be so inclusive in the way that, like, I wanted to make sure I was encompassing everyone's identity. But instead, I think I want to make it so that it has multi-gender people in mind, gender fluid people in mind, demi-gender people, but anyone of any gender who can visualize their gender as different parts that make up a whole. So I kind of shifted the tone of the book a little bit. It still needs some refining, but I have the preface of the book here. It says, "What parts make up you? Even if you consider yourself to be genderless or having only one gender, there are always many parts that come together to make up the identity known as you. What are your pronouns? How do you present as your gender? Do you subvert gendered expectations through nonconformity? How many genders do you have? Do they fluctuate? Are they fluid? What about transition goals if you have them? These are all questions I hope to help people answer by providing this gender workbook as a form of interactive self-exploration. Ask yourself what parts make up you." I really need a lot of organization for this one because I had switched like the direction of this workbook, and so whatever I had started the book with, coming up with like, how do you feel about these gender terms for yourself on a scale of 1 to 5, which is going to eventually be 1 to 10. I don't know if that's what I want to do, like just start off like right off the bat, like fill in how you feel about your gender. I'm thinking that maybe there's going to be different chapters, different sections that talk about like, this is how gender, like being polygender, works for many people. And then it would have a section where it's like, how many genders do you have? Fill them in. Do they fluctuate? Are they fluid? There's some sections where it's like, do you take on different pronouns to match your different identities? Do you use just any pronouns on any day, or do you feel more male one day, so you decide to use he, him, and then feel more xenogender like another day, and you use like see here pronouns or something? Like, do you have pronouns that like match, or that you use to reflect your different genders or different gendered parts? And there's sections to like write down your experiences. I have a very basic section on transitioning, like these are like different ways people can transition if they decide to, between like social transitioning and physical transitioning. And then there's going to be a section where someone could write in what their ideal gendered self is. Like, what kind of name do you want to go by, or pronouns? What kind of presentation do you want to have? Do you have any transition goals? And I want to write down, or have the reader write down, like, this is how I feel about this particular topic. One of the more recent sections I had was setting the mood, setting the gendered mood. Like, if you're feeling a certain gendered way, do you do anything to reflect that, to kind of change your environment and kind of give your day like a little gendered like feel to it? Like, maybe you wear a certain color. Maybe you have a playlist with certain songs that make you feel more like your gender. Maybe you like watch movies or TV shows where characters give you some kind of gender euphoria, or there are characters that like that's your ideal gendered self. A gender to-do list, like just daily goals tied to your gender. Like, maybe it's like paint your nails, shave your face, wear some really nice shoes out of the house, practicing your own pronouns, talking out loud or writing it down, or asking friends to validate your pronouns by like practicing and calling you by your chosen name, and using your pronouns to see like how it feels, and to get that like validation for that day, based on like just how your gender feels in the moment. Genderizing your social media, putting your pronouns in your social media, or maybe changing your banner or header or your icon with like pride colors or pride flags. There's obviously going to be a note, like, I have to emphasize, I wrote it in pink here, emphasize to the reader that, sometimes you have to do things in stealth. Sometimes you don't have the option of like putting anything on your social media to reflect like how you feel gender-wise that day. Sometimes you don't have the option of presenting the way that you want to. So doing things in stealth is probably the biggest focus of this section. I also wrote down like ideas for like colors that reflect your like gendered feelings for that day. So it's like if you're feeling more like way outside the binary, like yellows and oranges, maybe even red, and stuff like that, like to just kind of match like how you're feeling. I don't know what I was doing with this section, but I called it the gray areas, and it's like kind of like my identity, where it's like male and neutral, and there's the overlap, and that's the gray area. Or if you're having gender fluctuations, you've got the peaks, the valleys would be the gray areas. Maybe you move linearly from one gender to another, and in between those little jumps from one to another is the gray area. And I even wrote, I don't know if you could see it, but up here, here we go. This is more similar to like my experience. I don't mean to be so close to the mic. This is more similar to my experience, where it's two genders overlapping in the middle, and that's the gray area. That's where I was talking about like gender fluctuations, and the gray areas, like the valleys, and the peaks are like your gender intensity, or jumping from gender to gender, and the gray areas are in between. I tried to color code it, but some of it got messed up a little bit. Ways that gray areas might present themselves: overlap. Why am I sitting up so high? Overlap of genders, switching or flickering between genders, muddy fluidity. So like where everything kind of blurs and blends together, and there's no this or that. It's just all kind of together. Confusion or haziness between genders. Like maybe there's some like, I don't know, some kind of like unknown between like switching genders. Gender apathy, where it's like a consistent gray area, where you just like, you don't really care. You don't really like care like how you present or how you're referred to. So apathetic toward whatever you're experiencing. I don't know what I wanted to do with that section. It was just like a random, like, I want to include this. Maybe as like a talk about your gray area. Like what is nebulous to you? What is unattainable or unknown to you in your gender identity? Because I know a lot of people, experience just haziness and blurriness and just a mess of gender. And I really made it a point. I wrote it down somewhere. I think that's in like the random notes, like the unsorted, like random stuff I wrote down. Because I talk about like, the whole book is pieces coming together to make up your identity. And it's like, okay, so if you're genderless, how does that even work? So I have like, I think I wrote down a graph somewhere. Where did that go? Pink tab? I have too many tabs. This book is a mess, but at least it's color-coded. It's a color-coded mess. But like maybe you have gender that like kind of moves toward the center, like male, female, demi-boy, demi-girl, moving inward to like genderless or completely neutral, and moving from like Maverick to Libra gender to agender. Like maybe it all moves into the center to make up the agender identity. Maybe there are pieces, bits and pieces that come together to make up a genderless identity. So it's basically like, okay, like even genderless people can use this book if they consider their gender to be made up of different parts. And those parts don't have to be pieces of gender. It doesn't have to be anything like that. Maybe like pronouns or presentation or gendered language or one's name. Maybe that's like part of what comes together to make up that identity. So I'm trying to make sure that like everyone's included in this pretty much. Whether you have no gender at all, gender apathy, or you have like every gender, like everything is, considered. I wrote all these like, it looks so awful, ideas on different types of like charts, flow charts and diagrams and stuff for people to label their gendered experience or kind of quantify their gender in a way. I want to find a way to be like, okay, like where does your gender fall on this chart? It's very hard to chart gender. Gender's very complex. And I don't know what to do for people who have like dozens or even hundreds of potential genders. I talked about like organizing your labels. If you have like a gender hoard, like organizing that into like, you could either be like, here's some masculine labels, kind of like a filing cabinet, like top drawer, like these are some masculine labels. Middle drawer is like completely genderless or ungendered, unaligned labels. Maybe the bottom is like abstract gender labels. You could also organize it into like, there's a drawer for like, I'm definitely this. There's a drawer for, I might be this. And there's a drawer for like, I like the word, I'm going to look at it later. So different ways of organizing your gender labels. I'm flipping like through so many different sections of this book. The book's not quite in order, but I've been slowly trying to move things into a digital format so that I can basically drag and drop and organize things, because it's messy. There's a section on gendered influences, which I want to do a video on this, and it's the things that influence your gender and the things your gender influences. So like environmental things that might affect like how you feel gender-wise, or if you feel a certain gendered way, how does that gender influence the things around you? So, different ways, kind of the whys and hows of gender. Me attempting to find a way to let the reader like chart their gender, but I really need like a much better way to do that. There's a gender chart out there where it's like, like A through F, like pick one of these, and 1 through 20, pick one of these. And it's supposed to like help you tell people like, this is where my gender falls in the like where in the binary or outside of the binary it falls, and whether it's fluid or flux. So I'm trying to figure out a way that like really helps the reader like figure out where they are gender wise. There's going to be like my ideal gendered self, like write about like, how do you want to present? What name do you want to go by? What pronouns do you want? are you going to physically transition? Like, what do you want your ideal body to look like? I'm going to have like a part where you can like write that down. Java was just trying to update my computer while I was in the middle of recording. Do not, oh my god, do not give me a heart attack like that again. I thought my computer just went to sleep and I was like, I'm in the middle of a video. The number of times I've lost very important video content and lost audio because of just random technical difficulties. I can't swear on this channel. I have this one section, it's how your parts interact, how your different gendered parts interact. Like do they layer on top of each other? Do they overlap? Are they tangled up? Do they orbit each other? Do they repel each other? Do they come together like a chain link? Do they come together like building blocks? Do they flow in one direction? Do they stack neatly on each other? Do they intersect? Like a road. I wrote little like, little just like, here we go. You can pause the video for that one. Focus. Okay. I drew different like ways that your gender could interact, balance each other out, and I've got like a little scale. Distantly relate to one another. It's a good idea. I just want to like, I don't know where it's gonna fit yet, but I have a part that's exactly like that. I did that video for identity talk, and it was like layers of identity, like the core, like the unchanging part that is you, the gender the gender layer where it's like what your gender is, what you choose for like gender labels, and then outside of that is the presentation layer, like your name, your pronouns, your outward appearance, the way that you present as your gender. I want to do something like that where the reader can write in what those layers are for them. Gender in the abstract. I have a huge list that I finally like put somewhere digitally and alphabetized, and it's a huge list of descriptive words like nebulous, soft, complex, warm, floaty, mysterious, abstract, random, gentle, sensitive, just random terms that you like, abstract terms you could use to describe your gender. And it's basically like, okay, take 3 descriptive words from this giant list and put it after the word gender. Gender nebulous, gender soft, gender complex. I have these sections where it's like filled out with cyan. It means that like that's what I'm filling in to show what the reader is expected to fill in. So all the cyan parts are like kind of like me writing in as if I'm the reader. So what kind of thoughts or emotions do these words evoke? I had written, these words make me think of the soft, gentle void of the universe and the feeling of both nothingness and complexity. My gender feels like a system of planets orbiting a sun in many parts, making up an entire experience. And then I have a section, not sure yet, not sure what I want to do with this, like, it's just practice, I guess, and it's like I filled it in as if I'm the reader. My name is Alex. I am a gender soft person whose gender feels gentle, strange, and cosmic. Like just filling in like words. Please use airs pronouns when referring to me. I prefer to present in a soft masculine way. You can put like anything. You can put feminine or androgynous or neutral way, which makes me feel euphoric. And then there's a section where it's like, okay, so was this paragraph validating? How did that make you feel? What needs changing? So, I mean, the reader could fill it in with pencil and then come back another time and like fill it in differently and see how it like feels. I'm going to have plenty of space where you could like write about your gender. And I'm thinking like there's going to be a section in the back where there's a lot more space to write, but I think it'll be like a section will open up with some information like, here are some ways you can think of your gender in the abstract. Here are what some people on the internet say about their gender in an abstract way. And then it'll move into, okay, so think of your own gender in this way. fill in the blanks here. Like, what does your gender feel like? What kind of thoughts, visuals, emotions, sensations, like what did those things evoke? So that's the concept for this section, and viewers will pull from the index in the back. Like, there's going to be a huge index of pronouns. There's going to be a huge index of terminology. I just finally started putting together like terms and definitions for those terms. Every term that's used in the book gets put in the index with its definition, so you can like find it if you need to, in case like anyone has any questions. And I also made sure to make a list of pronoun examples that I've used in the book. So I'm pretty sure I went over this in the last time I like talked about this book, talking about like, okay, so here are like the most common English third person pronouns, but there's also neopronouns. And there's a section for pronoun practice, but here we go. I called the section Find a Pronoun. So finding a pronoun for yourself based on how that pronoun sounds or feels or looks. So I have different sections where it's like, here are some that are soft, starting with a vowel. Here are soft sounding ones starting with a consonant. Harder sounding pronouns with like harder consonants, not so soft. Here are pronouns that are very similar to he, him. Here are pronouns very similar to she, her. Here are some that are very similar to they, them. Here are a list of otherworldly or dreamy pronouns. And here are a list of pronouns that are like neutral all the way. Like they're not based, they're really not like, they don't sound like he, him, or she, her, or they, them. They're just their own kind of category, which includes no pronouns. And I want to like have sample sentences like, okay, if you use no pronouns, how does that work? What does that look like? What does it sound like? But my goal is to use examples in each of these sections, like, you know, pronouns based on he, him, based on she, her, well, similar to he, him, similar to she, her, soft pronouns, less soft sounding pronouns. I want to keep the pronoun examples unique to every single section, so I don't repeat a set of pronouns. That way, everything's included. Like, I want there to be so many different options. Speaking of like gender in the abstract, talking about your gender in shades of color. What does your like gender feel like? Shades of teal, like dark gray, like forest green, or the colors of autumn leaves. Like different ways to envision your gender or visualize your gender. That's pretty much it. A lot of the things I've added is building off of the new focus on the book, like talking about pieces that make up your gender. I also really wanted to cover this. I started writing down just different writing prompts, like, you know, write down moments of euphoria, write about your ideal gendered self, write down some pronoun practice. There's a gender wish list, which is like, what kind of clothes or pronouns or names or anything do you want? Like, just things you want in order to reflect your gender. Talking about how dysphoria feels, talking about your gender in pieces. And there's a section here I was like excited about because I really, really like it. It's envisioning your dysphoria as something, envisioning it as like an antagonist, a bully, like an old friend. Like, the idea is like literally fighting dysphoria. So it's like, imagine you're a knight and dysphoria is a dragon. Like, you know, envision yourself like fighting this thing. So yeah, just different like writing prompts. And I'm going to have different sentences for like pronoun practice. So people can like see how different pronouns look or feel, and there'll be room to write in like a bunch of different sets of pronouns. So you can like try out a bunch of different ones if you want to. A dysphoria tracker, euphoria tracker, tracking fluctuations or fluidity of gender. tracking like how you present on different days, your gender expression on different days. And then I started writing down very specific prompts, which might like maybe those will be not in the back of the book, like the gender tracker, euphoria tracker, and pronoun practice. That would be like the back of the book, like all the like little empty pages where you can like write freely. But I started writing very specific questions and writing prompts that will probably be at the end of every section. So, what does gender nonconforming mean to you? What kind of layers make up your identity? What terms do you use to describe your gender? Draw a diagram of your gender. Describe your gender as an abstract concept. What does your ideal gendered self look like? What labels do you use to describe your gender? Which I think I kind of, I wrote labels, but earlier on I wrote terms, so I don't need to repeat that. What are some good sources of gender euphoria for you? I definitely want to focus more on euphoria rather than dysphoria, but I'm thinking maybe every section will have a question, a prompt for the like reader to, just write down their feelings after reading each section or chapter. That's kind of it. I've got I've got an index that's gonna have all those descriptive words, and I started writing down terms that I want to have definitions for and when those terms were coined. Or to the best of my ability, I may ask the community to help me find some of these, because there's a couple that like are kind of unknown. I could not find like null gender. I couldn't find the coining of gender void, trans masks, trans femme, and trans neutral. I couldn't. It's unknown, but it's as early as 2000, I believe, is what it was listed as. But I started jotting down like when this kind of thing started coming about, and I've also got types of xenogenders, kind of in their own section for some reason, like nouns and archetypes, aesthetic and synesthetic perceptions, and neurodiversity. There's other types of xenogenders, but I just started jotting down like this is what xenogenders are. Like this, like there's so many different ways that you can be xenogender based on like all kinds of different concepts. Really, just like a messy color coded book, and I've almost used up every page. There's not a lot of space left, so I have to start moving into like a digital format. I've been adding information like on Google Docs. I've been using Trello, which is like my lifesaver. That's what I use to organize my YouTube content and plan for like uploads and stuff. But I use Trello to organize all the chapters, and I label them like, here are chapters about gender, here are chapters about presentation. And these are all the writing prompts that I have so far. And I started making a list of like every pronoun set that is included in the workbook so far, so I can like find something I haven't mentioned yet and include it instead. Just so I'm not repeating sets of pronouns. What am I looking at? I'm looking at myself. I'm looking at myself in the capture. Okay, whatever. But yeah, like I'm slowly starting to move into a digital format, and I'm very nervous about starting to put the like sections together, because I don't know like how to do that. I have Adobe InDesign, and I might try to teach myself how to learn how to use that. Hopefully it's not too bad. I use Premiere Pro and I use Photoshop, so I was hoping InDesign would be kind of easy to figure out. But yeah, I'm nervous because I don't know like what exactly to use to put these pages together, because it's not just writing text, it's also like putting diagrams in and putting images in and leaving spaces for people to like fill their own stuff in. So I want to make sure that it's in a good format, I guess. Oh, also, I might spiral bound this thing. Would that work? I think that'd be really cool. I think it'd be cool if I published it, but it was spiral bound, like a notebook, but with better fortified pages so that they don't like fall apart. But that would be super cool. Wow, I've got lots of comments for no reason. Wow. Hello. Shout out to you, I'm that extra kid. One word. I love getting comments while I'm like while I'm recording. Love it. I love the interaction on this channel. I love the comments I get, the questions. I love that people answer like the questions of the week and stuff. I love it so much. So, that's all I have. I might do another update as I'm moving. It's going to be a couple months if I like update again on like how this book is coming together, but I'm going to be slowly moving it into a digital format. And then like once I've gotten some kind of idea as to how the book's going to come together, I'll probably do another update. And I'm definitely going to be getting ideas from viewers. I definitely want to like see what people think and like what kind of suggestions they have, because it's quite a process, and I want to make sure that I don't get it wrong. So anyway, I am signing off for now. See you later.